The screen door creaked open slowly, like it wasn't sure it wanted to. She turned from the sink, hands still damp. The boy stood on the porch, small, thin, dirt on his knees. In his right hand, a wooden spoon. He didn't knock. He just said, "Ma'am?" She didn't speak, just stared. Her hands froze above the towel. He lifted the spoon a little higher, like offering it. "I come to help." The wind moved through the trees behind him. Nothing else. She stepped forward but didn't open the door. "Help who?" "You," he said. Her throat dried. "Who sent you?" He looked down, then up again. "Mama." That stopped her. Her knuckles turned white on the doorknob. "I don't know your mama." "You do," he said. "No," she said too fast. "I don't." "She said you'd say that." "How old are you?" "7." He said it plainly, like he'd practiced. She looked past him. No one on the road. No car. No buggy. No footprints in the dust behind. She opened the door halfway. "Where's your mother now?" "She's gone on ahead." "Ahead where?" "She said you'd know that too." She didn't move. Didn't speak. The spoon trembled just slightly. "Come in," she said. He stepped in like he'd been there before. Didn't ask where to sit. He walked to the wooden chair by the fire stove and sat, spoon across his lap. She shut the door slowly. "Are you hungry?" "No, ma'am." She poured 2 glasses of water, set one down across from him. He didn't touch it. "You got a name?" "Yes, ma'am." "Well, don't think I'm supposed to say yet." "Is that so?" "Yes, ma'am." "Your mama tells you that too?" He nodded. She sat. The room stayed quiet. Wood ticking in the stove. Far off, a dog barked once, then stopped. She tried again. "What else does your mama say?" He looked her in the eye. "Said you'd help." "Help what?" "Dig." The word dropped like a stone. She sat still. "I don't dig." He pointed to the shovel by the back door. "That's yours." "No." "You used it." She flinched. He didn't blink. She stood, picked up the shovel, checked the handle. There, under an old worn grip, a notch carved into the wood. One she hadn't made, one she hadn't noticed. "You brought this?" "No, ma'am, it was already here." She set it down. He traced the spoon's edge with his thumb. "She said you'd smell like bread and matches." She was right. "I don't know who she is." She had a scar under her chin. "You gave her a dress once." The world tipped sideways. "What color?" "Blue, with yellow thread." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "I gave that away years ago." "You gave it to her." "I didn't know her name." "She never used it." The clock clicked once, then again. "You said she went ahead." "Yes, ma'am." "Where?" "She said not to follow. Sad to remember." "Remember what?" He lifted the spoon again. "She used to feed me with this. Said it belonged to you before it was hers." Her stomach twisted. "No." "Yes, ma'am." "You don't understand." "She cried when she said your name." That stopped her again. "What name?" He said it soft, careful. Her real name, the one she hadn't heard in 10 years. She sank into the chair. "Who are you?" "I'm her boy." "You were just a baby." "She carried me through fire." "I didn't know." "She screamed your name while they burned it." "Stop." "You watched." "I didn't know they were going to." "She did." "I told her to leave town." "She tried. They followed her." She looked down at her hands. "I tried to help. You stayed quiet." The room pulsed with heat that wasn't from the stove. He placed the spoon on the table between them. "She said this'd help you remember." "I buried that." "No," he said. "You buried something else." Her fingers touched the spoon. It was smooth, familiar. She looked up. "What do you want from me?" He said nothing for a long time. Then, "Dig." "I can't." "Yes, ma'am." "You can." "There's nothing left." She said the roots never stopped growing, said the ground still whispers. The wind picked up outside. The curtains moved. Dust lifted off the floor. She stood. "You can't stay here." "I already did." "No." "Yes, ma'am." She turned, walked to the pantry, opened the old tin box. Inside, a strip of fabric, blue with yellow thread, torn. She hadn't touched it in a decade. She brought it back, laid it beside the spoon. "She kept this?" "Yes." "She was supposed to burn it." "She never did." The boy stood now. "I'll show you where." "Where what?" "She said you'd ask." He walked to the door. She followed. Outside, the wind blew colder than it should have for late summer. The field behind the house hadn't grown right in years. No birds. The boy walked with sure feet, past the old oak, toward the well that had been boarded over since the fire. She hadn't been back here since. He stopped beside it. This is where she heard him last. Who? The sheriff. Her chest squeezed. She said his voice came up from the dark. I never knew. You did. I didn't believe. You did. She dropped to her knees. Why me? Because you stayed. That's not enough. It is now. He handed her the spoon again. What am I supposed to do with this? Dig. Not here. Yes, ma'am. It's cursed ground. She said it's waiting. For what? You. She stared at the broken boards. There's nothing down there. Then it won't hurt to look. She didn't move. He crouched beside her. You were her only friend. I was a coward. She said you kept her dress safe. That's not the same. She said it was. She looked at the boards. Her voice shook. If I open it, I won't sleep again. She didn't either. She touched the edge of the rotting wood. It crumbled. He watched. I'm scared. She was too. The wind fell silent. She lifted the first board, then another. The dark opened. The spoon stayed firm in her grip. She looked down. Nothing but earth and cold air. Then she heard it. Not a voice. Not a cry. Just a whisper of something unfinished. She turned to the boy. Will you help me? Yes, ma'am. Together they began to dig. The dirt clung under her nails. She hadn't dug like that in years. The boy sat on the edge of the open well, legs swinging, spoon across his lap like a pocket knife. She leaned the shovel against the wall, chest rising slowly, arms shaking. That's enough, she said. He didn't move. I said that's enough. You didn't get to the ledger. There's no ledger. There is. She wiped her palms on her dress. How would you know? She read from it, out loud, every winter. She didn't have it. She had copies. She looked down the well, just dry stone and air. No bodies, no books. Why'd you come here? She sent me. You said that. She said your house still held her name. I never said that. But you thought about it. She went still. He turned slightly, watching her. She said you used to hum it, her name, when you were scared. That was a long time ago. She said it never left your mouth, just dried there. She grabbed the shovel again, started covering the hole, one clump at a time, sharp, uneven. He didn't stop her. You remember the fire? I don't want to talk about it. She said you watched it. I didn't know what they'd do. She did. I told her to run. She told you she couldn't. The dirt hit the wood harder now. She had a sister. I know. She died in that barn. I know that too. She didn't scream. She never did. The boy's voice dropped. She never forgot your face in the window. She stopped. Enough. She said it quietly, every time. Your name. Stop. He stood now. Not tall, but sure. She said you owed her something. What? She didn't say. I gave her food. She gave you silence. I told her I couldn't help. She said you didn't try. I had a family. She didn't. I had a husband. He was a sheriff. He'd have... She knew. She stepped back from the shovel, dust in her throat, eyes wet, but not from grief. Something older. She never used her name. She didn't need to. She didn't have a name, not after that night. She had yours. The boy stepped toward her, hand out, not threatening, just waiting. She said to give this back. From his pocket, he pulled a folded paper, worn, soft, yellowed from sweat and hiding. She didn't want to touch it. She said it was the only one that mattered. She took it. The handwriting was hers, scrawled, uneven, just a line. If they come for you, say nothing. Burn everything. She backed up. Where'd she get this? You wrote it. She wasn't supposed to keep it. She did. She told you that. She said it in her sleep. The well behind him looked wider now, darker. I thought she was dead. She almost was. She disappeared. She bled through a whole season. She never came back. She waited until you stopped looking. Her knees gave. She sat in the dirt. I buried a dress, a blue one. She said you'd say that. I sewed it for her. It took all winter. She still wore it, even when it was burned. She should have left. She had nowhere else. She held the letter to her chest. She used to sing when she worked, real soft. I know. You know the song? He nodded. She hummed it once. He finished the line. She cried without sound. He sat beside her. She wanted me to know. She said your silence was louder than the fire. She was wrong. Were you? She didn't answer. The paper slipped from her fingers. The wind took it a little, then let it fall. I have a cellar. I know. She said the ledger was under the boards. It is. Does she ever show it to you? She never let me touch it. Too many names. She said they scratched back when you stared too long. She stood. You believe that? She said it like it was true. I'm not digging up ghosts. You already did. They walked back to the house. Not fast. She held the door for him. The kitchen smelled like old ash and soap. The table still had the spoon. He sat without asking. She didn't. You really 7? Yes, ma'am. Born in fire, raised in silence. That's what she said. She teaches you to read. She taught me what to remember. She teaches you how to forget. No one does. She took the lantern from the hook, lit it. You said you've been here. I have. When? She brought me once. You didn't see us. When was that? After the sheriff left. The name dropped like a bell. You know who he was? She called him the man with ashes for hands. She never said his name. She said he didn't deserve one. She moved to the back of the kitchen, where the old cabinet sat crooked. I opened it, reached behind the dry beans and flour tin, pulled out a small key. Does your mom ever talk about the cellar? She said you locked more than food down there. She's right. He watched her walk to the cellar door. She paused. You sure you want to see? I already saw. The door creaked open. The stairs moaned. She held the lantern low. The boy followed, bare feet, careful steps. At the bottom, it was cool. Stone walls, dirt floor, old shelves, empty jars. She stepped across to the far wall, pulled a crate, bent down, ran her fingers over the floorboards. This one, she whispered. She pried it up. Beneath was an oilcloth tied with twine. She didn't look at him. You sure? She said the first name will be mine. She unwrapped it. Inside, a book, handwritten, red ink, black lines, pages curled. It smelled of mold and blood. She flipped it open. First page, a date, a location, then a name. Heron. She closed it. He stared at her. She kept records. She said it was the only law that mattered. She was right. He stepped forward. She said the town would never believe unless you showed them. I can't. You have to. Why now? She's dying. The lantern hissed. She waited this long. She wanted to see if you remembered. She gripped the book. I tried to forget. She never could. She looked at him then. What's her name? He hesitated. Then he said it, and it broke something in her that had been frozen too long. She whispered it once, then again. Her name, the one they burned, the one that never left her mouth. She sat at the edge of the cellar, the ledger still open in her lap. The boy was quiet now, crouched by the corner shelf, running his finger through dust that hadn't been touched in 10 winters. The lantern between them hissed once, then dimmed. She was 13, the woman said. The boy didn't answer. Maybe 14. She came in the night, hands wrapped in rags, didn't cry, didn't say where she came from. He said nothing. She asked for bread. I gave her a bowl of broth. Couldn't hold the spoon right. Fingers looked melted. He looked at her. Mama said you had kind eyes. I didn't ask her name. She said you never did. She slept on the floor, just for the night. I gave her a dress. He stood up. She left before sunup. I took nothing but the dress and a heel of bread. She left the name. The woman's mouth pulled tight. She said you whispered it when you thought she was sleeping. I never said it out loud. You stitched it. He pointed toward the stairs. She rose slow, knees aching. They climbed back to the kitchen. She opened the drawer under the flour tin, pulled out a small cloth bundle, yellowed, folded neatly, tied with black thread. She set it on the table. Unwrap it. A handkerchief, white, edge stitched in red. One name, Neela. The boy sat across from her. Mama had one just like that, he said. She wasn't supposed to keep it. She sewed hers into her coat lining, said it kept her warm in places people forgot her. The woman's eyes went glassy. She never wore gloves, even in the snow. She couldn't feel her fingers. She was so small. She grew quiet. The spoon was still on the table. He turned it in his fingers. She told me you hummed when you sewed. I did. She said it was the only sound that didn't scare her. I didn't know what else to do. You didn't need to. She wanted to stay. I saw it in her eyes. Why didn't you let her? The woman's voice cracked. My husband came home. The boy nodded. She said he didn't like girls who didn't smile. He asked where she was from. Why were her hands bandaged? She said he looked at her like a broken thing. He said she was cursed. She believed him. She left anyway. The woman's hand brushed the cloth. She said your house smelled like wheat and shame. She wasn't wrong. I found the rag she used to wrap her hands, blood-stained, still warm. You didn't follow? She told me not to. She thought you would. She said I'd get hurt too. The boy's mouth twitched. She said if you followed, they'd bury you in the same dirt. The woman looked out of the window. Did she ever tell you what happened before she came here? She didn't like telling stories, but you know. He nodded. She said the barn fire was the second time. The woman turned. The second? He looked at her. They tried to burn her once before, at a preacher's camp. Her face went pale. They said she spoiled the milk, that she looked at men too long. She was a child. People don't see that when they're scared. She sank into the chair. She never said. She said there's no point telling fire it already burned you. The wind pushed against the windows. She stood again, crossed to the far wall, opened the old trunk near the stove. Inside, folded between quilts, a single blue dress, frayed, torn at the shoulder. One button is missing. The same one. She held it up. I thought it'd rot. She said it wouldn't, said you sewed it too strong. The woman ran her fingers along the seams. She remembered every stitch, every patch. She wore this to court, he said. Her hand stopped. What court? They made her stand in front of the sheriff and 2 wives, said she stole it. She didn't. She said you gave it to her, but no one believed her. The woman's voice was barely a whisper. They cut her palm to make her talk. The boy nodded. She didn't scream. I should have come. She waited a week. I didn't know. She did. The dress dropped into her lap. She said you'd feel it in your chest, like a nail pulling through. I do. She said that meant you still remembered. She was just a girl. She became something else. What do you mean? She kept walking. The woman turned to him. She survived? She became a shadow. She frowned. What? He didn't flinch. She said, when the law forgets you, you become something else. I don't understand. She said girls like her learn to live between walls. The spoon clinked as he set it down. She never healed. She tried. She trusted you. The woman pressed the dress to her chest. I trusted myself too. She said that was the hardest part. What? Forgiving the person who could have saved you. The room felt colder. She folded the dress, tucked it under her arm. I walked to the hearth, lit the match, held the flame to the edge of the fabric, stopped. The boy watched. She wouldn't want it burned. She wanted it buried. The woman nodded. Same place? Yes, ma'am. They walked out back. No words. The trees swayed like they knew. The well behind them. The hill ahead. She stopped at the oak. This was where I found the ribbon. She left it there for you. I didn't know. You never looked. She knelt, dug with her hands. The earth was soft. She placed the dress in the hole, then the handkerchief, then the paper from the cellar, covered it all. She sat back. The boy said, she said you'd bury her memory before her body. I did. He looked up. Are you ready to dig again? Where? She said the truth's under the floorboards. I thought we already found it. He shook his head. That was just the part with your name. The shed door creaked when she opened it. Hinges dry, smelled of rust, dirt, old rope. The boy stood behind her, spoon still tucked in his belt. She hadn't stepped inside in 10 years. You said it was in here, she said. Yes, ma'am. You sure? She said it'd be where the salt won't melt. She stepped in, boots cracking dry leaves. The air felt heavy, like it knew what she came for. The rake was still where she'd left it. A broken bucket, a sack of grain no one fed to anything. He pointed to the back corner. Under there. She knelt, pushed aside a rusted basin, a pile of burlap. Her fingers hit something solid, a tin box, blackened with time. She lifted it slowly. "Salt," he said. She brushed the lid clean. Thick salt crusted over the edges like frost. Her thumb pressed the latch. The lid stuck. She pulled harder. It opened with a snap. Inside, a badge. Dull, bent, still marked. She froze. "That's yours?" he asked. She didn't answer. She picked it up. I turned it in her hand. "You knew him?" the boy said. "I was his wife." He didn't flinch. "You love him?" "I thought I did." She turned the badge over. Something scratched into the back. A name. Worn down. Heron. "I didn't know he kept it," she whispered. "He didn't." She looked up. "What do you mean?" "He buried it." "Why?" "So no one would find the ledger." Her throat tightened. She lifted the badge out. Underneath it, folded paper. Thick, stiff, damp at the corners. She pulled it free. I opened it. A page from the old ledger. Her handwriting. At the top, bold. Name. Neela. Burned. She almost dropped it. "That's your mama," he said. She nodded, slow. "She was the first." He added, "I know." "You wrote that?" She didn't speak. The bottom of the page was stained. Something dark. He looked at her. She said, "When he found this, he said you'd signed your silence." "I didn't know he saw it." She said he always did. The shed felt tighter. "Was he the one who—" "Yes." She said he came to her like a preacher. He was good at that. She said he lit the fire himself. The woman sat on the edge of the old crate. "I didn't see it." She said you were in the window. "I didn't think he'd—" She did. She held the badge up. "He buried this under salt." She said men like him think salt makes things clean. He was the sheriff. He was worse than that. He said he was protecting the town. She said he was protecting himself. The spoon clinked as the boy leaned against the wall. She said this land remembers. Not enough. She said it whispers in the bones. She stood. "Hold the page. You sure she wanted me to find this?" She said it'd make you sick. It does. She said that's how you'd know it was true. The wind knocked once against the shed. She stepped out, sun high, sky blank. He followed. "Where'd he bury her?" The boy didn't speak. She said he buried her where men don't dig. He looked up. "You know what that means." "Where shame hides." "Where's that?" "Under porches, beside wells, inside good names." She held the paper tight. "I helped him lie. You helped her live. I left her. You watched her. That's not the same." "No, ma'am, it's not." They crossed the yard. Her hands shook. She placed the badge on the kitchen table, set the page beside it. "What now?" She said you had more to dig. "Where?" He pointed at the floor. "Here. I already checked the cellar." "Not the cellar." She frowned. "There's nothing under this house but stone." She said your house was built on forgetting. She was right. "Are you ready to remember?" She looked around the room, at the walls she painted, the table she scrubbed, the stove that kept her warm when Neela froze outside. She said, "Give me the spoon." He handed it to her without a word. She knelt, tapped the floorboards one by one, stopped at the third row. "Here." He nodded. She wedged the spoon in the seam, pried up the first board. The nails groaned. Beneath, cloth, wrapped tight, old, yellowed, sealed with wax string. She unwrapped it. A second ledger, her ledger. She flipped it open. Not names, not debts, confessions, written in her hand. Each page is a memory. Every one a lie she swallowed. She read aloud. March 7th. I saw the girl's face. I turned the lamp out. I told him I hadn't. The boy stayed quiet. April 10th. I heard her scream. I closed the door. Her voice broke. May 2nd. I washed the blood off his boots. She closed it. He looked at her. She said that book was heavier than any grave. She's right. She said you'd know what to do. She stood, carried it to the porch, lit the oil lamp, held the ledger over the flame. I watched it and caught it. Ash drifted to the dirt. She didn't cry. She handed the spoon back. Next, the boy looked at the smoke rising. She said the truth doesn't burn easily. I'm learning that. He pointed to the barn. She said there's more under the floor. I buried that too. Then it's time to dig it up. The attic steps groaned under her weight. The boy waited at the bottom, spoon in his hand, eyes on the dust floating through the shaft of afternoon light. She hadn't opened the attic door in years. The air hit her like a memory, dry, boxed, still holding breath. "I don't like this room," the boy said from below. "I don't either," she said. She crossed to the far side, past old jars, warped furniture, a trunk wrapped in cloth. She knelt, pull it open. Inside, a folded quilt, unfinished, covered in thin muslin. She held it to her chest for a second too long, then carried it down. The boy moved aside when she passed him. They sat at the table. She unwrapped it slowly. The color had faded. Reds turned brown. White's gone to bone. "It's hers," he said. "She started it in my shed." He nodded. She ran her hands across the stitched squares. Each square held a name, some embroidered, some scratched in with thread that looked like it came from her old curtain hem. 14 names, one square left blank. He pointed to it. "That's her. She never finished it. She didn't get the chance." The boy touched the edge. She said each name was a truth she couldn't say out loud. "She never told me she was sewing it. She didn't want you to stop her. She thought I would. You were scared. I still am." He pulled the spoon from his belt, tapped the edge of the blank square. "She said this one was for the woman who left the light on. She flinched. She meant you. She called me that? She never stopped hoping you'd finish it." Her eyes stung. "I don't remember all the names." She did. "She had no paper." She didn't need any. She touched the threads. They weren't neat. Some were pulled too tight. Some are barely holding on. She stitched with one hand. The other never healed. She asked for red thread. Because it didn't fade. She looked at the blank square again. She meant for me to finish it. She said no quilt was ever done if truth wasn't sewn in. I haven't held a needle in years. She said your hands remember. She went to the drawer, pulled out the old tin, a spool, a bone needle. Red's all I have. She said that's all she needed. She sat back down, threaded the needle with slow fingers. She stitched my name. He nodded. She said your name was buried in cloth long before dirt. Where? He touched the lower corner. She turned it. There it was. 3 letters, sewn in trembling hands. She stopped breathing. She sewed that when? After the fire. She thought I'd see it. She hoped. She traced the letters. Your name's not here. He looked away. She said I didn't need to be named, said I was made from the space between. That's not right. She was scared. He paused. She stitched my name into a sack once, then buried it on the floor. Why? She said names get taken when folks stop saying them. Did you find it? I dug it up when I turned 6. What did it say? He hesitated, then whispered it. It wasn't hers. The name wasn't hers. She blinked. That was the sheriff's family name. She said blood doesn't always choose kindness. She told you? She told me never to carry it. The woman's hand trembled with the needle. You knew. She said the name didn't belong to either of us. She placed her finger on the blank square. What name goes here? He didn't answer right away. Then, the one she never spoke to. She had to have one. She said it died before she learned it. The woman stitched in silence, one slow letter at a time. Not hers, not his, but one made from both. When she finished, she leaned back. The boy read it, software, then smiled. She would have liked that. She deserved to be named. She deserved a lot. She didn't get it. No, ma'am. He looked at the quilt again. There's a loose thread here. She leaned in. I saw it, pulled it. It led to a flap, hidden behind one of the squares. She opened it. Inside, tucked in the cloth, a folded note. She read it, then read it again. What is it? He asked. Her hands shook. It's a map. To what? She looked at him. To where she put the last badge. He stood ready. She found more? She kept one. Whose? She folded the note. The one they said never existed. He stepped back. Where is it? She reached for her coat. The orchard. The orchard's gone. She planted one tree. He grabbed the spoon from the table. Let's go. They stepped out into the wind. The quilt was left behind, folded, finally whole. They crossed the field after sundown. No flashlight, just her lantern swinging low. The boy didn't ask where they were going. He already knew. She said, this land doesn't mark the right graves. He didn't answer. The grass was tall and dry, crickets louder than breath. The hills stood dark against the fading sky, a shape she avoided most her life. Used to be a circle of stones up here, she said. Still is. Half fell over. They leaned on each other. She slowed as they reached the top. 11 markers, all unmarked. No names, no flowers, just worn, crooked stones like broken teeth. These aren't real graves, she muttered. They're more real than most. She set the lantern down. Its glow flickered against one stone that stood straighter than the others. He walked to it, placed his hand flat on the top. She stayed back. Have you seen this before? She asked. In my sleep. What's that mean? She said when I found it, I'd know where to start. Start what? Digging. She moved closer. You know who's buried there? No. He crouched. But it's someone breathing. She stepped back. That's not how graves work. She said this one's waiting. For what? For her story. She stared at the stone. Plain, smooth, no dates, no initials. You think this is your mama's? No, ma'am. Then who? He pointed at the ground. She said this one's yours. Her mouth dried. I'm not dead. Not yet. Why would she say that? He looked up. Because you've been living like you were. She almost slapped him. Then I saw his face. You think I belong in this dirt? I think you've been carrying it inside you. She sat down on the edge of the hill, back to the wind. There's a reason no one buried here had names. Why? They weren't allowed to. By who? Men like my husband. He traced the edge of the stone with his finger. She said names are the last thing they take. She was right. He stood again. I walked the circle, counted. There's one stone missing. There were 12. What happened to it? She looked toward the tree line. It burned. Why? Because someone tried to mark it. She? She nodded. She brought a nail, a piece of tin, tried to carve her sister's name into the corner one night. What stopped? Her. 2 men from the town. He frowned. They followed her up here. They followed everyone back then. What did they do? She came back with blood in her teeth. He didn't speak. She never tried again. He walked to the edge of the hill. I looked down. That's the field where she ran. Yes. She said it in her sleep. What? That the earth tried to hold her feet, but the fire moved faster. She stood. Why'd she come back? To remember. She was always better than me. She said you were the only one who stayed. Stayed quiet. She said that was your punishment. She never knew what it cost. She did. She moved to the stone, ran her hand over it. Feels cold. They all do. She knelt. Help me clear it. They pushed the weeds back, brushed the dirt away. Beneath the base was a mark, a cross but broken, etched once, then scratched through. She said that meant the body wasn't finished. She believed that. She said some deaths are just delays. She sat still for a while, then said, There's something under here. He looked at her. I buried it. When? After the fire. What is it? She pulled a pocket knife from her coat, pressed the blade into the earth. I wrote a letter. To her. Never send it. He crouched beside her. She said she felt it. She used to come up here, leave things. I know. Once I found a hair ribbon. It still smelled like ash. She said that one was for her sister. She pried a flat stone loose. Under it, a tin box, rusted shut. She handed him the spoon. He wedged it under the lid, popped it open. Inside, folded paper, thread, a burned match, a silver ring. She gave you this. I never wore it. She said it was her mama's. She left it under my pillow. She said you were the only one who deserved it. She picked up the paper, unfolded it. The ink had bled, but the words were still legible. I'm sorry. I should have screamed too. She folded it back. The wind is hitting hard now. Cold, dry, final. He whispered, She said you didn't have to. I should have. She forgave you. I didn't ask her to. She did it anyway. She looked at the stone again. We mark it? He handed her the spoon. She said you'd know what to write. She dug the tip into the stone. Slow. Careful. 4 letters. Just 4. N-E-E-L. He watched. She said you'd leave the last letter off. She didn't earn it. She outgrew it. She smiled. For the first time. They stepped back. The circle looked different now. He said, "What happens next?" She didn't answer right away, then said, "We name the others." She heard it the first night just past 3. One knock, then 2, then the soft scrape of metal. On wood. She stayed in bed, eyes open, not breathing. The boy didn't say her name, just stood on the other side of the door. The next morning he was already in the kitchen, quiet, barefoot, spoon tucked in his belt. "You came to my room last night?" she asked. "No, ma'am." "You sure?" "I don't sleepwalk." "Wasn't what I asked." He stirred the oats, didn't look up. "She said I'd hear it again," he said. "Hear what?" "The way she used to knock. She didn't eat breakfast. That night, it happened again. Creak of floorboards, knock, knock, tap. She opened the door fast. He was already gone. She checked the hallway, the stairs, the porch. No one. She left the door open after that, but the sound kept coming, always just out of reach. On the 5th night, she waited sitting up, and the lamp turned low. Spoon in her lap. Same time. Creak, knock, knock, tap. The doorknob turned. She stood. The boy was there, not blinking. "Are you doing this?" "No, ma'am." "You think this is funny?" "No, ma'am." He looked down. "I just wanted you to hear it." "Hear what?" "How she used to knock when she came back." "Back from where?" "The barn." She stared at him. She said that's how she'd let you know she made it through another night. "You never said that before." "You never asked." He stepped into the room. "She said you always left the lamp on, but never the door unlocked." "I was afraid of what might come in." She said that's what she was afraid of, too. He turned to leave. She said, "Did she tell you what happened?" He stopped. "She told me everything." "You believe her?" "Yes, ma'am." He turned back. "She said you watched." "I did." "She said you never looked away." "I couldn't." "She said you told her to hush." "I did." "She said that's the part that hurt most." "I know." She sat down hard on the edge of the bed. She said you had a needle in your hand when she came in. "I was sewing." She said the thread was red. She wanted it that way. She said you told her not to bleed on it. I didn't know what to say. She said she felt the fire before she smelled it. I smelled smoke too late. She said you kept sewing. I was shaking. She said you finished the square. It was all I had. He looked at her. She screamed. "I know." You said nothing. I told myself the walls were thin, that someone else would help. But they didn't. "No." He stepped closer. She said when she came back, you made her tea. I did. She couldn't hold the cup. I wrapped her hands. She said you didn't ask what happened. I didn't need to. You should have anyway. I was scared. She said so was. The lantern hissed low. He held the spoon out. She said this is what you gave her when the tea got cold. She couldn't hold anything else. She kept it in her pocket. She gave it to me last night. She said she couldn't carry it anymore. She told you why. She said it was heavy. He stepped forward. Not in weight, in memory. She took the spoon, held it in her lap. She knocked once after that, one time, then gone. She waited by the gate. I know. You didn't open it. I thought it was someone else. She said that's what made her leave. She looked up. She said that. He nodded. She said you were always listening for men's footsteps, never hers. She gripped the spoon tighter. I was taught to fear noise. She said you feared silence more. I didn't want to hear what she'd say. She said you already knew. She was right. He sat on the floor, back against the wall. She said she forgave you. She shouldn't have. She said you were the only home she ever had. Her throat caught. She said you smelled like bread and burnt sugar. She liked that smell. She said she hated how much. Silence stretched long. He leaned his head back. She said if I knocked the way she did, you'd finally open the door. I did. She said that's all she wanted. The lamp flickered. She looked toward the window, moonlight cutting through dust. He asked, "Did you love her?" She nodded, but not enough. She said it was more than anyone else gave her. That's not the same. It was to her. She set the spoon on the nightstand. He stood. She asked, "What now?" She said once you opened the door, she could rest. She's not here. She never left. He turned to go. She said you'd hear her one last time. When? When you stopped sowing lies. The floor creaked as he walked away. She stayed sitting, eyes on the door, waiting for the knock that meant she was forgiven. She waited until the boy was asleep, spoon beside him, quilt half draped. He breathed light, like someone afraid to take too much space. She stepped out back with the lantern, past the fence, past the tree line, toward the barn. It still stood, mostly. The roof sagged. One door hung crooked. Ash clung to the corner post, years old but untouched by wind or rain. She opened the door slowly. It creaked the way it did that night. She stepped in. The smell hit her first. Not smoke. Something older, the kind of heat that lives in wood, even after the flame forgets it. She sat in the dirt where the center beam collapsed, set the lantern down, closed her eyes. I saw her. The boy's voice came from behind. She turned. He stood in the doorway barefoot. You should be sleeping. She said it had to happen here. She's not here. She never left. He walked to her, sat across, dirt in his hands. Are you ready? He asked. I'm not sure. Then I'll start. She nodded. He pointed to the scorched beam. She said they dragged her here. I know. She said they laughed. They always did. She said you were at the window. I was. She said you turned away. I did. She said you came back after. I had to see. He dug a finger into the dirt. She said the fire stopped before it finished. She screamed so loud. No one came. I did. He looked up. She was quiet by then. I thought she was gone. You thought wrong. I saw the body. That wasn't her. She froze. What? That wasn't her body. I buried what I found. She said she crawled out. That's not possible. She said she hid under the trough. There was nothing left. She said she watched you walk away. I saw her face. She said it was someone else. She gripped the edge of her coat. I saw her face. She said that girl didn't scream. I don't understand. She did. You're saying she lived? She sewed through the pain. No one came forward. She made herself disappear. She never said. She wanted to see if you'd dig anyway. She stared at the dirt. I came back that morning. The barn is still warm. They told me it was settled. That justice was done. Men lie easy when no names are said. She never told me it wasn't her. She didn't want pity. I would have helped. She said help given late doesn't feel like help at all. I didn't know. You didn't ask. She grabbed the lantern. I want to see. He stood. They moved to the far wall. Boards blackened. The earth there never grew anything. She said it's buried beneath. What is? What she left behind. She knelt, hands in dirt. Slow, careful. They dug. First, just earth, then cloth, then something harder. She pulled it out, a box. Small, iron, sealed. She opened it. Inside, a spool of thread. Burned red. A button. A photograph. 2 girls. She touched the picture. This was her sister. She said you'd remember the dress. It was blue. She sewed the button back on after the fire. She kept it. She kept everything. She lifted the spool. She said she used this to close her hands. She never healed. She never stopped stitching. They sat quietly. The lantern sputtered. She turned to him. She said, you've been waiting for me to open the ground. He nodded. She said the fire didn't finish what it started. She looked around. This place should have burned down. She said it did. Not enough. He leaned against the beam. She said the rest's up to you. She stared at the box, at the thread, the button. The names are unspoken. The truth is unburied. And she finally understood what the fire left behind. She hadn't stepped near the well in 21 years, not since the dress, not since the second fire. Now she stood staring at it like it was something alive. The boy walked ahead of her, spoon in hand, boots quiet in the grass. It's smaller than I remember, he said. It used to be deeper. It still is. The boards across the top were soft with rot, nails rusted, moss growing along the cracks. She stepped closer, bent down, ran her hand over the lid. This well dried up the same year she left. Didn't dry up, he said. It just stopped offering. She looked at him. Are you sure you want to do this? She said the truth doesn't matter until you put your hands in it. She pulled the old shovel from beside the shed, the same one she used to cover the dress, handle still marked from the night she carved her name into it without knowing why. He knelt by the edge of the well, moved the broken boards aside, reached down with the spoon and scraped at the dirt ringed near the inside lip. She said he fell in fast, he said. She said that? She said his voice didn't carry long. She passed him the shovel. He started digging. The earth was soft at first, then heavy, wet. She knelt beside him, not speaking. The wind shifted, then the smell. He paused. I looked at her. She nodded. Keep going. They hit something hard, not stone, wood. He scraped more. A box, not a coffin. A storage crate, old iron handles wrapped in cloth. She knelt, cleared the top with her fingers. Have you ever opened a box like this? He asked. Yes. You bury this one? I don't remember. He stared. I mean, I remember doing it, but not the moment. I think I looked away while I was still digging. He helped lift the lid. It cracked open. Inside, bones. Not many. Crumbled with time. Half gone to dust, but not animals. Not from this soil. On top, a locket, blackened with smoke. The chain snapped. She picked it up. I opened it. Inside, 2 tiny pictures, blurred. One a face she thought she'd buried. The other, her own, years younger. She dropped it. He caught it before it hit the ground. Thought you said you never posed for anything. I didn't. He took that, carried it in his badge case. The boy reached into the box, pulled something small from the corner. A badge, rusted, letters eaten by time, but still there. Is that? She nodded. It's his. He turned it over, initials carved in the back, J.S. He was the sheriff, she said. I know. He was my husband. I know. She sat back. I didn't kill him. She did. I didn't stop her. She said you, handed her the key. I did. He looked at the bones again. She said this wasn't her first. She told you that? She said the first was the man who wore her voice down to a whisper. She meant him. He nodded. She said his voice stayed in her teeth even after he died. She touched the locket again. He told her she owed him, said taking her in was payment enough. She said he broke her every time he knocked. She stood. The others, she said they buried themselves in her silence. She told you how many? No, ma'am. She said their names? No. She wrote them down? She stitched them. Where? She said you'd find it when you finished digging. She turned toward the house. The barn was behind it. The quilt still hung over the line. She looked at the well. We can't leave him here. She said you would say that. I thought he'd never leave this land. She said you were right. He handed her the badge. What do we do now? She took it, hold it in her palm. We name him, then burn the box. She said the ground can't carry him anymore. She was right. He stepped back. She dropped the badge into the crate, then the locket. Anything else? He pulled a folded cloth from his pocket, a piece of the unfinished quilt, one square, stitched in red. No name, just a line. He promised not to come back. She laid it over the bones. She struck a match. The fire caught slowly, then fast. The smoke curled up into the trees. He asked, You want to say anything? She shook her head. Words kept him alive longer than he deserved. They stood there until the smoke turned to ash and the bones turned to silence. Only then did she speak again. She said he wasn't the last. The boy looked down. No, ma'am. She killed more. No. She buried more. No. Then what did she mean? He looked up at her. She meant you weren't done yet. She sat at the kitchen table, the quilt stretched across the boards, edges spilling over. The boy stood beside her, holding the thread like she asked. His hands didn't shake. Hers did. This the last square? He asked. She nodded. You sure it goes here? She said to put it where the blood ran through. He looked at the patch beside it. Burnt orange, stitched tight. That one hers? She never named it. You did. She earned it. She threaded the needle. The red thread passed through like it had been waiting. The fabric was easy. You ever think she'd want you to finish this? She knew I had to. What if someone sees it? That's the point. You ready? She started stitching, one letter at a time, tighter than she used to. No flourishes, just the truth. When the last letter was done, she set the needle down. The boy leaned in. Her name? No. Whose is it? She said it was the one they tried to burn first. He looked closer. I don't know this one. You're not supposed to. He didn't ask again. She stood, folded the quilt. Slow. Careful. Have you ever hung it before? He asked. Never. Why now? She said the names die if no one sees them. They walked out to the front gate. The hinges creaked. The wind is low. She unlatched the top rail, hung the quilt across it. The fabric swayed but didn't fall. The names stared back. 14 across, each one sewn in blood thread, lye thread, ash thread, each one a memory they tried to forget. She stepped back. He stood beside her. You think they'll understand it? No. You think they'll tear it down? Maybe. What if they come for you? They already did. The wind caught the edge. The corner folded. He reached to fix it. She stopped him. Let it be. They won't like it. They're not supposed to. He looked at her. What happens now? She turned toward the house. I turned the light on. You haven't in years. I know. He followed her to the porch. The bulb above the door was dusty, the wire frayed. She flipped the switch. It flickered, then held, warm, pale, enough. He looked out toward the road. You think she sees it? She never stopped. The quilt rippled once. He whispered, Will they come? She said, Let them. She saw the dust first, rising at the tree line, slow and deliberate, not wind, not farm trucks. This dust moved like it had orders. They're coming, she said. The boy looked up from the porch rail. His hands were still, spoon resting on his lap. How many? 3 black cars, 1 unmarked. He stood, brushed his pants off. You think it's him? Number, he won't come himself. They never do. She nodded. The quilt waved on the gate like it knew what was coming. She didn't move, didn't go for the door, just stepped down from the porch and waited by the mailbox. They'll want names, she said. They already got them. Are you afraid? He looked at her. She said they should be. The cars stopped at the edge of the yard, engine idling. No one got out at first. She watched the passenger door. It opened slowly. Black boots, clean pants. A man stepped out holding a folder and a pistol at his side. You Mrs. Shaw? He asked. I was. You go by something else now? I go by who remembers me. He nodded once, looked past her at the quilt. You hang that? We both did. He walked closer. 2 more men followed behind him. One stood by the car. The other moved toward the porch. The boy didn't move. You her boy? The man asked. No, sir. You got a name? Not one you'd know. The man studied him, then turned back to her. We were told you've been hiding something. She nodded. The whole town has. I just stitched it back together. He took out the folder, flipped it open. You know what this is? List of questions? Statement of complaint. By who? He paused. Community concern. You mean someone got scared? They got angry. They read the names? They read one. Which one? He turned the page. Line 8. Her mouth thinned. Say it. He didn't. The second man stepped off the porch, walked to the quilt, ran his hand down the squares, stopped at one, read it, backed away. That one yours? She asked him. He didn't answer, just kept walking toward the gate. Do you remember her? The boy said. The man didn't speak. Say it. The boy repeated. The man looked at the quilt again. Then I turned around. Keep walking. Didn't stop at the car. I walked down the road alone. The first man watched him go. You see that? The boy said. He's weak. The man replied. Number he remembered. The third man stayed by the car. Didn't blink. Didn't move. The boy pointed at him. That one's holding something. The man pulled something from his coat. Hold it up. A badge. Old. Worn. Sheriff's star, dulled from time. He dropped it on the step. Turned back. Got in the car. The engine idled. The leader looked down at the quilt. You know what you're doing? I do. You know what this could cause? She nodded. Peace. Or violence. They're the same when you're already buried. The wind picked up. The quilt flapped hard now. The man stared at it, pointed to a square. This one shouldn't be here. Why? She was cleared. She was erased. He stepped closer. She ran with bad men. She ran from them. She confessed. She survived. He looked at her. You want us to believe this? No. You want us to act like it's true. I want you to read it. The boy stepped forward. She said the quilt is the only record left. You think cloth speaks? It does when the paper's afraid. The man closed his folder. You'll be hearing from us. We already did, she said. He walked back to the car. Didn't speak. didn't look back. The car rolled off, dust rising behind it. Silence followed. The boy stood at the gate. They won't stop. No. They'll come back. Maybe. Should we run? She looked at the quilt, the names blowing in the wind. Each one is loud now, each one standing. She said, no. Why not? Because they already know. He looked down the road, then up on the porch. The badge is still sitting on the step. He picked it up. I turned it over. You want to keep it? He asked. No, she said. He walked to the well, dropped it in. No sound, no echo, only the wind, only the names, and the light that stayed on. The house was still, the kind of still that only came after something had shifted for good. She stood at the window with the lantern off, watching the quilt sway on the front gate. It moved like breath, soft and uneven, tugged by wind that didn't carry a storm, just memory. The boy sat on the porch steps, spoon in his hand again, not spinning it this time, just holding it. She opened the door. You sleep? No, ma'am. Are you hungry? No, ma'am. She sat beside him. The moon was low, but enough to see the words stitched along the bottom row, the last square. Her name, neat, firm, blood thread. You put it there. She said I had to. When? After the men left. She never saw it. She knew. She looked at the spoon. You taking that with you? Yes, ma'am. You sure you're leaving? I came to do something. You did it. I'm not done. Where will you go? He shrugged. Where the next name waits. There'll always be one. I know. You're just a boy. I'm what she made. She didn't ask you to carry all this. She didn't ask. She stitched. She looked out past the field. Dark hills. Trees swaying slowly. She would have liked the light. She said it was yours. I turned it off the night they burned her sister. She said she forgave that. I didn't ask her to. She didn't wait for you to. She reached into her apron, pulled out a folded square of cloth. This was hers. He took it gently. The edge had a faint mark, a half-stitched N. She started it when she came back. She didn't finish. She said it wasn't hers to finish. He tucked it into his pocket. I don't know your real name, she said. He didn't answer. Do you? No, ma'am. You want one? She said names are earned. I'd still give you one. He stood. The wind pulled stronger now, lifting the corner of the quilt, just enough to show the line of squares underneath. He looked down the road. It's a long walk. I've got boots your size. I'll walk as I come. Alone. He nodded. She said that's how truth travels. You'll come back? Not if I do it right. She stood, too. Hands in her coat, lantern unlit. She'd be proud of you. She said you would say that. She was right. He stepped down off the porch. She followed to the gate. The quilt fluttered once more, her name catching the wind like a flag. He reached for it, paused, then let it go. I want them to see it. They will. She opened the gate. He walked through, stopped once in the dust. I looked back. You keep the light on. I will. He nodded, then walked on. No bag, no coat, just the spoon, tucked into his belt, like a badge, like a name.